if you truly watch the tape and you watch all the other elite quarterbacks in this league, there's a common thread amongst all of them. The fact that they're able to process the game at such a high level, able to create plays with their feet, and make the high-level throws up and down the field. Brock Purdy does all of these things, and he was in the MVP conversation a year ago. Let's not forget that he took us to a Super Bowl, and he gave us the lead before, obviously, Patrick Mahomes and them took it away from us. Everybody out there, if you have any questions about Brock Purdy, I'm here to tell you, I'm not biased. I know ball. He's the guy.
I got a couple guesses, but tell me.
Fred Warner.
Okay, yeah, that was my second guess.
I was either going to say George or I would have said George or Fred if I had. But Fred Warner was on Super Bowl row, and he was doing some stuff, some media and such. And I thought it was important, not just like who cares about the fans? Who cares about the expectation? Who cares about the carnival barkers with the microphone? Like, those are the people. The only reason you care about them is because they are shaping narratives. Now, sometimes they're shaping narratives to non-educated fans, I would say. But what that quote said to me, I think meant a lot more probably in that locker room than anything else. And if Fred truly believes that, who's the guy that anybody in that locker room is going to listen to most? There's a few, but he's got to be like, if he's not one, he's like 1A. And so to have him say that about his guy, man, I thought that spoke volumes. And I was just like, man, I'm ready to watch them play right now. Like, when's the next game going to start?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say about that is I'm sure he believes it. Teammates aren't the most reliable narrators, though. I mean, what is he gonna say? What did they say about Jimmy? I mean, when he was
they just said that he was handsome.
I think that Brock is a good football player. To me, the jury is still out on as the talent around him declines, because I believe it's not gonna. I'm not breaking news here when I say that 10 years down the road, or whenever Brock's career is over, these last 2 or 3 seasons will go down as the most talented teams, most talented offenses he ever played on. I can't imagine him having more talented teammates than the ones he's had the past, 2.5, 3 years. So the question is going to be, does his game elevate as the talent around him invariably decreases? Because once George is gone, once Christian is gone, they will replace them, and hopefully they'll be good players. But you're not going to tell me you're going to bring in another Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's highly unlikely. Another George Kittle? Come on. I mean, these guys are, I believe, going to go down as
some of the greatest Niners ever.
Yeah, I think already, no disrespect to my man Frank Gore, I think that Christian McCaffrey is the most talented running back I've ever seen in a 49er jersey. He's just so good. And George Kittle, no disrespect to Vernon Davis, George Kittle is the gold standard.
Brent Jones just popped his head out.
Okay, sorry about that. Except for Brent Jones
and Vern, both of them.
He's a gold. He is. When I think of 49er tight ends now, George Kittle is going to be the first one I come to, and it's at no fault of Brock. It's just so, and I'm not saying he can't, but his game will have to elevate. Which, again, 3 years in, he can. He's not going to get taller. He's not going to get stronger. His arm's not going to get any stronger, but he can learn to process better. He can learn to, not to say that he doesn't do it well now, but you see those guys as they get older. Guys like, I'm not comparing them to Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or those guys like that, but you saw as they got older, Brett Favre, as they got older, they had seen it all. So they were able to anticipate, knew what this guy was going to happen when those guys were in those coverages and what his answers were. And I fully expect for Brock to be one of those guys as he is in his 5th and 6th and 7th year, that he'll be able to diagnose what's happening and see what's going to happen before it happens. And so there are places where he can grow in his game. And now the question is, once he does that, is it enough to take maybe less talented teams even further? I don't know that he's ever going to be, like a Patrick Mahomes or I believe he hasn't done it yet, but I think Joe Burrow is one of those guys who is an elevator. He can carry teams.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it in college, and he's just that guy. He's one of those guys. I think Josh Allen is one of those guys with his combination of talent and physical ability. If
we saw it with Stafford.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Stafford is a great example that when you put him in the right situation, he can carry a team. Now, again, he's one of those guys kind of like Josh that can throw you out of games, like Brett Favre was, who could throw you out of games, but they damn sure could throw you. You get Matt Stafford is one of those guys. That is perfect. He's a perfect example. Matt Stafford gets on a heater. He's one of the best quarterbacks, of his generation when he gets on a heater, but then he'll make crazy decisions. But I think Brock can be that kind of player that when he is right, again, that was the thing I said about the contract. What I can tell you, what I know about Brock Purdy after 3 years already is that at his best, his ceiling, he can play as well as anybody. But at his floor, I can't remember in 3 years very many games where Brock threw us out of games, that he's lost games for us. So you take that and you say, how many quarterbacks, when you talk about wanting to pay him, how many quarterbacks with that profile ever hit free agency? And how many guys in the draft do you say, I know that profile about them, that they are good enough to be one of the best, and at worst, they're not going to lose games for you. I don't know how many. You look at this year's draft. Now, granted, you said it's a weaker draft. I can't say that with a surety about Cam or Shador or Jackson Dart. So I say all that to say that you pay Brock. You have to pay him, because from what he's shown us, is he one of the best quarterbacks in the league? No. But you don't have to be to get that big money. Danny Dimes got. Come on, man.
Okay,
so I had somebody tell me that they shouldn't pay Brock and we should sign Daniel Jones. Get out of here. What are you talking about?
Okay, so here's why I like Fred's quote and why I think it is maybe more meaningful than a random. He didn't say Brock's my dog. He actually was very eloquently explained what a high-level quarterback does and what he believes Brock can also do. So what it tells me is that he has thought about this, and Fred is a smart guy. He's an eloquent guy. I would not expect anything less from him. But there are other scenarios where maybe if he didn't believe it, he could have done the whole Brock's my dog thing, or Brock's, Brock's keeps us in ball game, or whatever, however else you want to say it. So I like that because Fred is a leader, and Fred showed, that, I did my homework on my own guy because I knew I was going to be asked this question. What else are they going to ask me about our 6-11 season? And so that's why I liked his answer.